Hi guys, I'm Andre Borges and today I'm in conversation with Aniruddha Bahal, who is the founder and editor-in-chief of Cobrapost, and you know why we're having this discussion. Basically, he's going to give us a little more insight into their sting operation, how they did it, why they did it, what they hope to gain from it, what the new landscape should be, might be, and yeah, should we just get into it?
Sure.
Cool. So, I think a huge question everyone has is obviously how you did it. Like from step one, what was the initial idea? What was the meeting? And then it took months to kind of build the work.
Yeah, it's you see, there have been stories on paid news for many years now.
Right.
There was a report by Paranjay Guha Thakurta and others, which was submitted to the press council some years back, but
Right.
it's just gathering dust and nothing happened. Then you keep hearing a lot of anecdotal stuff about and gossip about what is really happening. So based on all this and a general sense, and the reporter had this idea again,
Okay.
he came in as an outsider that he wanted to do this story.
So it was like a
And we
pitched
thought-
idea.
Yeah, and
Okay.
then we said, okay, let's do it. And I had to take a call whether he had the personality to pull it off, and he definitely proved that he had the personality to pull it off.
Right. Like
Because
he
he
had to be
spoke the
very-
lingo.
Right.
He himself comes from Bharatiya Shishu Mandir, so
Okay.
he speaks that good Hindi.
Right.
He had the gravitas, and then he sort of donned the robes, the ochre robes, and
Right.
he really got into the part. Actually, it became very difficult for him to get out of the part afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and
post the entire thing, also
that's
he
right.
kind of
So
was
even
in
in
character.
you see, he had to maintain this front throughout, whether he's in airports or in the city. Whenever he stepped out of the house, it had to be this because you could bump into any of the people you met
Right. So he stayed in character for a while, meaning
for a while. That's right.
that was his. This was his
That's
like
right. As
undercover.
soon as he stepped out of
identity.
his house, he
Okay.
couldn't not be in character because you
Right.
never knew when you could bump into somebody.
So
whom
Push
you had
Sharma
met.
disappeared like
That's
completely,
right.
and
That's right.
okay. So I mean, you guys have been doing this thing, sting operations and investigative journalism for a while now, but this one really caught the attention of the general public. And why do you think that is? Why do you think this particular one?
You see, a lot of our stories have caught attention, whether it
Right.
is parliamentarians being dismissed, whether it is, a lot of shows that we used to do for different television channels, etc., etc. But this story, perhaps there is a sort of button that we pressed in the viewer. The
Yeah.
viewer who's perhaps consciously or subconsciously fed up with mainstream media
Perhaps.
about the editorial choices they make on prime time, about the editorial choices they make on in the pages of the newspapers.
Yeah.
So you somehow subconsciously you feel, yeah, this is. I mean,
This affects
it
me.
is like this affects me,
Yeah.
and I have to sort of, and especially when they saw the conduct of the mainstream media post the release of the story.
Which is
Sort of
interesting.
very silent, not
Yeah.
talking about it at all.
yeah.
It's like the elephant in the room.
Did you
kind of
expect
thing.
mainstream media to be quiet
Yeah,
about
yeah.
it?
I expected them by and large to do that, but then after a point of time, there is a moral decision in the newsroom
Right.
what to do. And
Right.
okay, these are these 40, 45 odd media platforms, but there are 50,000 other media platforms in India which can cover it.
True.
So it's basically online which has been pushing it, and sporadically certain offline ventures.
Right. So it's actually interesting that you brought up, the moral understanding in a newsroom, which brings me to 2 points. One is one criticism that the sting operation has gotten is that in the video it seems like very initial talks. What was the evidence that once it reached the editor's docket that they would
Not at all.
carry it on?
That's a misconception because you are sending us contracts. A lot of them have sent us contracts. Now,
Right.
we couldn't have gone to the next stage because they are asking the GST number of a fictitious organization. We don't have that.
Right.
They are asking for other contractual things that they have to fill up before the advance can come.
Okay.
We can't cross that sort of
Okay.
hurdle. Then,
Yeah.
obviously, we never had any money. So,
Yeah.
how do we stretch it out? So
Right,
that is
right,
all.
right.
The very fact that salespeople, senior salespeople, senior management people, and in quite a few instances, the owners themselves
Yeah.
are participating in the conversation, are sort of actualizing certain things, are sort of saying certain things, are sort of saying, putting certain deals verbally that this is all that we can do.
That brings me to my second point. Like it went straight to the top. You met heads and managers and executives and stuff like that. How did you get through the door? Like, how did
It is
Sharma
just
get
his
through the door?
strength of character and the sheer greed of those people. The sheer
Right.
greed of those people that here perhaps this they were looking at it like some kind of perhaps
I mean, one would think you'd go through first an editorial assistant and then maybe a reporter, then an editor.
no,
Did anything like that happen?
we made a conscious decision not to interact with journalists at all. So
Okay.
we didn't interact with journalists.
So how did
it
you
was
reach?
just this, it was just
So Vinny Jain, for
sales call.
instance, how? Oh, you just.
It's a random sort of reaching the reception and going upwards.
Okay.
Most of the time that, sometimes through phone calls, setting up a meeting and then going up, and
Right.
then pitching your your intent at a certain level, and that person then taking you onwards in the organization.
Okay.
It is not that we are landing up straight there. It is people
Yeah.
who are taking us there.
So there were
So
levels
we have
that
prior
you all-
knowledge of, because those people would then go and brief the senior people, and senior
Right.
people would then, after hearing the brief, want to interact with us, and then we would go to the senior people.
Right. So before the videos of the senior people came out, you all had interacted with some lower level to reach.
Yeah, it's a
It was a
that
ladder.
sense, yes.
Yeah.
In many cases.
Okay. And like I said, I'm sure you all did a bunch of research. I mean, there must have been a meeting about like, okay, how much should we pay them? You know, what number should we say for each person
Yeah, it is.
or
It
whatever.
depended
it is.
upon the organization, and a lot of these calls
Right.
you would take at the spot, I guess.
Yeah.
So whether it's a small amount or amounts ranging from maybe 60 lakhs to 500 crores or whatever,
Yeah.
But
Big,
depending
wide
upon
range.
how
Yeah.
big the organization was, and that it should not look out of place in that organization.
Right. So, what about the legality? So, this is a question that I personally had, and a bunch of people, you know, in casual conversation when you're talking about it. Is that okay? Now the recordings came out and stuff like that. Did you guys do any research on whether it's legal to like take these recordings?
We have been
or-
doing this for 15 years. We know the sort
Right.
of the law that is there.
Could you
And-
just like just for the information of the public?
It is Cobrapost itself has been in battle at various points of time with authority,
Yeah, I can
and
imagine.
we have in many cases created case law.
Yeah.
So the case law has been created by us for some of the law, whether it was the parliamentarians cash for questions
Yeah.
story or some other stories, etc. So that case law is now there. It is part of legal history and part of legal case law which now other organizations use.
Starting to use.
So
yeah.
it is something which is I have yet to meet somebody who said that the story was not in public interest.
Of
So
course,
any-
of course.
So
Definitely.
nobody can say it wasn't in public interest.
Right.
It was a media sort of effort,
Yeah.
and we sort of brought everything to the public.
Right.
And it is for them to answer their conduct. It is for them to answer what they were saying. They were
Right.
talking not only about paid news,
Yeah.
but in fact, it is not just a paid news story. They were talking about, they were agreeing to defame your political rivals of the client. They were agreeing to communalize the electorate. They were doing all this in lieu of money, whether by check or
cash.
or by cash, which
Yeah.
in itself is legal and attracts several provisions.
Yeah.
So the criminal intent goes beyond just paid news. And if we allow them to sort of mess with our democracy like this, it's very dangerous for us.
Extremely, yeah. Another thing that I'm just pointing out things just so you can clear it up for everybody else who had these questions. Another thing I heard was the footage that was put online was edited, not
Obviously it
doctored,
is
not doctored, but like edited. So I just wanted to know what was
No, not at all. It is standard practice. I mean, you have to edit. Suppose you have
course.
7 hours of footage, you can't just
Right,
dump all
right,
that.
right.
And nobody's going to understand that.
Right.
So you have to make it interesting also.
Yeah.
In a sense, to retain viewer interest.
Of course.
And also not compromising the fact of what happened.
Yeah.
So it is just that it is normal editing that has happened. Nothing beyond that.
Okay, there wasn't like a
There is no malicious editing. In fact, the bites that some of them are citing, which is in favor of them, have been put up by us.
right, yeah.
So it is not really.
What did you think of the Times Group's response, which was that they're doing a reverse sting
Well,
on?
We have yet to see that.
Yeah,
So-
I mean the response was that they knew exactly what was happening and they were trying to figure out where he was from and what group he was coming from, so that they could.
Yeah, but we all can see through that. So it is not really something that
Right.
people take seriously.
Right. So now that this is out there, do you guys have other things in the future, other
We are
things
a
in
very
the offing?
small non-profit organization.
Right.
uh, we had a contract with the media organization, which allowed that contract just got terminated.
Okay.
We are now looking for another media organization to support us,
Okay.
to support content that
Okay.
we generate. We don't do a huge number of stories, but we also have a lot of individuals contributing to us. So I would also like this to use this opportunity to appeal to whoever sees the video to contribute, to go to Cobrapost site and contribute to us.
Okay.
A small, even every bit of donation is important for us, but because we put all that money in the stories that we do, and a lot of people have been donating to us, often not as much as we would like, but still,
Right.
it is there, and we appreciate that, and we respect that, and we love you for that. And that's it. So we are just a very small organization, and we sustain investigative journalism, whether it is RTI based, whether it is document based, whether it is hidden camera investigation. So we keep doing whatever we can, whatever our resources allow us to do.
Okay. And I think one huge part of this investigation, apart from realizing that the media was ready to accept money to push agendas, was the inclusion of Paytm, and that
Yeah, Paytm, if you look at these apps, they are big. They play advertisements in their apps.
right.
So the reporter went to see if he could run a Hindutva campaign on with them.
Okay.
And,
So was it a plan to include Paytm, or he just thought, okay,
You know, he just thought it wasn't like planned. We could have gone to Flipkart, but we didn't because
That's
Paytm
what-
was here and we just
Yeah.
went there.
okay,
And it turned out to be a very interesting meeting actually, because one of the vice presidents said that they would promote Hindutva through a quiz. And then
Oh, yeah.
later on we met Ajay Shekhar, the senior vice president of the company, and then he went on to say what he said,
yeah,
which is about the data thing in
Right.
Kashmir and etc., which was very hugely revealing for us.
Yeah.
So in that sense, we are very happy that we took that step.
Because I was
otherwise
very,
this data story wouldn't have, which was just incidental. It was not.
That's
we
what
were not
I
looking
mean,
for it.
like, it was
It is an incidental thing to what we were
it was
doing.
just a byproduct of
That's
just
right.
doing this thing.
That's right.
Because there are other wallets and other tech companies
Yeah,
here.
that's but you look, the scale and reach of Paytm is much beyond everybody else in terms of the
Definitely.
usage and in
Of
terms
course.
of, and they play advertisements, you see, so it was very easy, and they agreed to play it. They said that
Yeah, straight off
if
the
we
bat.
they agreed that if it was in their interest, because I think the grievance of Mr. Ajay Shekhar was that the Sangathan, so to speak, hadn't contacted him directly
Okay.
for
Yeah.
this. So that was his
exactly.
grievance.
Right.
It wasn't, so he was a little bit cagey about the reporter, but at the same time, he had this grievance that he had not been approached directly.
Right. Okay. And where do you think? I mean, this is a huge conversation. It needed to be propelled, and I think this operation has reinvigorated it so much. Where do you think we go from here? What happens now? Do we continue to have faith in the media?
I'm
Or
very cynical about. I don't see any introspection.
Okay.
Maybe I hope there has been some introspection behind closed doors,
yeah,
and that they are setting up systems so that it doesn't happen again.
right.
I hope those things are just not negative in nature, that they are positive, that we cannot do this anymore.
Right.
If they have
Setting
been
up
doing it-
systems as in to not get caught again, or to
No, I mean, I guess setting up systems so that the sales team are educated about what they can pitch and what they cannot pitch,
yeah,
and what as an organization they can do and they cannot do.
right.
Okay, you have to take a stand somewhere, and I also hope that at some point law enforcement gets in, because after all, it's if there are certain sections of the Indian IPC that has been violated,
Yeah.
then it has to reach a natural conclusion.
Right.
You cannot just leave a thing like this and say, yeah, good, and everybody treat us like the elephant in the room, but let us not sort of, because everybody needs the media, everybody is scared of the media. So
Yeah.
if politicians take the call that, let us not disturb them.
I mean, the
election is
faith in the
coming.
media is waning. Like, we're not really, you don't know who to trust anymore. And
Those things are in phases, but then you have to build up institutions of trust.
Yeah.
You also cannot then take a stand that let us not expose too much, as it causes too much criticism in society. That
Yeah.
is also not the way forward.
right.
So in the churn, perhaps something positive will happen and come up.
Okay. So hopefully something will change. Hopefully the future will be a little better.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Cool. I think that's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
a lot.
Thank you
And
very much for
thanks a
joining
lot
me.
for coming in.
Yep.
All the way from Bombay.
Hope to see more amazing
Stories.
journalism from
Sure.
you guys.
We hope
Yeah.
to also surprise our viewers and readers.
Definitely.
Hey guys, hope you liked the video, and if you did, please show some love and subscribe to our channel BuzzFeed India. So this is a different kind of video than you're used to seeing. I'm going to be doing this every Monday. What I do is I explain things, I talk about social and cultural issues. Is there anything that you want to discuss? Do you want to create any kind of dialogue about a particular thing? You want me to explain something? Do leave it in the comments and we'll hopefully be able to make a whole video about it.